when Terrence Axel Hammond pulled his fat boy into Lincoln Park on a Thursday afternoon and saw a 10-year-old boy in a school uniform playing chess with a homeless man beneath the oak trees, both of them laughing like old friends, while the rest of Fresno pretended neither of them existed. He knew he'd stumbled onto something that mattered more than a game. What started as curiosity about an unlikely friendship became a 3-month mission to rescue Walter, a Vietnam veteran who'd spent 30 years on the streets after the war, broke something in him that nobody had bothered to fix, and who'd been spending his Thursdays teaching chess to a fatherless boy named Nolan, who'd looked at him and seen not a bum, but a person worth knowing, proving that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply notice someone the world has decided to overlook. Lincoln Park in downtown Fresno wasn't much to look at. A few acres of patchy grass, some concrete benches, a rusted playground that had seen better days, and a handful of oak trees that provided shade for the homeless population that called the park home. Most people drove past without a second glance. The ones who did walk through kept their eyes forward, and their pace quick, pretending they didn't see the shopping carts and sleeping bags tucked beneath the trees. Terrence Axel Hammond noticed everything. He was 51 years old, road captain for the Fresno chapter of the Brotherhood of Steel MC, a barrel-chested black man with graying dreadlocks that hung past his shoulders, and hands that could crush a soda can or comfort a crying child with equal ease. 22 years in the club had taught him that the measure of a man wasn't in how he treated people who could do something for him, but in how he treated people who couldn't do anything at all. Every Thursday afternoon, Axel rode through downtown on his way to the clubhouse, and every Thursday afternoon, he passed Lincoln Park. He'd seen the usual cast of characters, the regulars who slept on the benches, the addicts nodding off against the trees, the mentally ill talking to people who weren't there. Sad, but familiar. Part of the landscape of any American city. But 3 weeks ago, he'd noticed something different. A boy, maybe 10 or 11 years old, wearing a school uniform, khaki pants, navy polo shirt, backpack still on his shoulders, sitting at one of the concrete chess tables across from an old homeless man. The two of them bent over the board, like generals planning a campaign. Axel had slowed down, curious. The boy wasn't being harassed or threatened. He was laughing. The homeless man was laughing too. They were playing chess like old friends, like this was the most normal thing in the world. The next Thursday, same thing. The boy and the homeless man at the chess table. The Thursday after that, same thing again. Today, Axel decided to stop. He pulled his fat boy into a parking spot at the edge of the park, killed the engine, and walked toward the chess tables. The homeless man saw him coming first. His body tensed, the way unhoused people tensed when strangers approached expecting trouble. But the boy just looked up with curious eyes, no fear in them at all. "Hey there," Axel said, stopping a respectful distance away. "Mind if I watch?" The boy looked at the homeless man, who shrugged. "Free country. Bench is right there." Axel sat. Up close, he could see the homeless man more clearly. Late 60s, maybe early 70s. White guy with a weathered face and a gray beard that needed trimming. Wearing layers of clothes despite the mild weather. A shopping cart parked nearby containing everything he owned. His eyes, though, were sharp, clear. Not the glazed look of addiction or the scattered gaze of mental illness. Just tired, beaten down by life, but still present. The boy moved his bishop across the board. "Check." The homeless man studied the board, then chuckled. "You little sneak, I taught you that move." He shifted his king out of danger. "Nolan, you're getting too good. Pretty soon, you won't need an old bum like me to practice with." "You're not a bum, Walter," the boy said matter-of-factly. "You're my friend, Something passed across Walter's face. Surprise, maybe, or the particular pain of being seen as human when you'd grown used to being invisible. Axel waited until the game finished. Nolan won, though Walter made him work for it, before speaking again. "How long you two been playing?" 4 months, Nolan said, packing the chess pieces back into a battered cardboard box. "I found Walter on the first day of school. I walked through the park on my way home, and he was sitting here with the chessboard. I asked if he could teach me. My dad used to play, but—" The boy's expression flickered. "He's not around anymore." "I'm sorry to hear that." "It's okay. Walter's a really good teacher. Better than my dad was, actually. But don't tell anyone I said that." Walter snorted. "Your dad would understand. Chess isn't about talent. It's about time. And time is the one thing I've got plenty of." Axel looked at the homeless man with new eyes. "You play a lot?" "I was on the chess team at Berkeley, class of '79. Walter's voice carried a ghost of pride. "Had a scholarship, was going to be an engineer. Life had other plans." "What happened?" Walter was quiet for a moment. "Vietnam happened, came back different. Couldn't hold a job, couldn't hold a marriage, couldn't hold on to anything that mattered. Spent 30 years bouncing between shelters and streets. Now I'm here." He gestured at the park with a wry smile. "Teaching chess to a kid who actually listens. Probably the most useful thing I've done in decades. Hit subscribe if you believe every person has value, no matter where they sleep at night. Comment where you're watching from, and share this with someone who needs to remember that friendship doesn't care about addresses or appearances." Nolan looked at his phone. "I gotta go. Mom expects me home by 4:30. He shoved the chess box into his backpack and stood. "Same time next Thursday, Walter." "I'll be here. Where else would I go?" The boy grinned, waved at Axel, and jogged off toward the park's edge. Axel watched him go, then turned back to Walter. "That's a good kid." "Best kid I've ever met," Walter said simply. "Most people look at me like I'm trash. Nolan looked at me like I was a person. First day he saw me. Walked right up. No fear. No judgment. Asked if I could teach him chess. Like it was the most natural thing in the world." He shook his head. 4 months, every Thursday, rain or shine. Kids never missed a single week. His parents know about this. His mom does now. Didn't at first. Nolan kept it secret because he was afraid she'd make him stop. But she found out about a month in. Showed up here ready to drag him away. Probably thought I was some kind of predator. Walter laughed bitterly. Can't blame her. But Nolan stood his ground. Told her I was his friend. Told her I was teaching him chess. Told her I was a veteran. What did she do? She watched us play for an hour. Didn't say a word. Then she thanked me for being kind to her son and said he could keep coming as long as he was home by 4:30. Walter's voice grew rough. Nobody's thanked me for anything in years. Axel sat with that for a moment. He thought about his own brothers in the club. How many of them had come back from service with pieces of themselves missing? How many of them had struggled with the transition back to civilian life? How many of them had found purpose and family in the MC when the world had given up on them? Walter, you got anybody? Family, friends, anyone who checks on you? Not anymore. Had a sister in Sacramento, but she passed. Had a buddy from my unit, but he's gone too. It's just me and the chessboard now. Walter looked at him. Why? You some kind of social worker? Nah, I'm just a guy who rides motorcycles and tries to do right by people. Axel stood up. I'll see you around, Walter. He walked back to his bike, his mind already racing. By the time he reached the clubhouse, he had a plan. If you're watching this and thinking about the homeless people you pass every day without seeing, The veterans who served their country and then fell through the cracks. Subscribe to Bike Diaries and share it with someone who needs to remember that every person has a story. Tell us in the comments, have you ever had an unexpected friendship that changed how you see the world? The Brotherhood of Steel MC met every Thursday night. That evening, Axel stood before 40 brothers and told them about Walter, the Berkeley Scholarship, Vietnam, the decades of homelessness, the chess games with a 10-year-old boy who saw him as a person when everyone else saw trash. "I'm not asking for charity," Axel said. "I'm asking for justice. This man served his country. He survived a war that broke better men. He spent 30 years living on the streets while we ride past without looking. And now he's spending his Thursdays teaching a fatherless kid how to play chess, giving that boy something he'll carry for the rest of his life. That matters. He matters." The room was quiet. Then Demolition, the club's sergeant-at-arms, spoke up. "What do you need?" "First, I need information. Medical history, veteran status, what services he's tried, why he's still on the street. Second, I need resources. Housing options, VA benefits, anything we can access. Third, I need bodies. Brothers who can help me make this happen." Hands went up all around the room. By the following Thursday, Axel had a plan, a team, and a folder full of information. Walter was a Vietnam veteran, honorably discharged, eligible for VA benefits he'd never accessed because he'd fallen off the grid decades ago. There were programs for homeless veterans, housing, healthcare, job training, but navigating the system required help that Walter didn't have. Until now. Axel found Walter at the usual chess table, setting up the pieces for Nolan's arrival. "Mind if I sit?" "You came back." Walter sounded surprised. "Most people don't come back." "I'm not most people." Axel sat across from him. "Walter, I've been doing some research. You're a veteran. You're eligible for benefits, housing, medical care, support services. The VA has programs specifically for people in your situation." Walter's expression hardened. "I know about the programs. I've tried. You fill out forms, wait in lines, talk to people who look at you like you're a number. Nothing ever happens. I got tired of getting my hopes up." "What if someone helped you navigate it? Made sure the paperwork got filed, followed up with the right people, didn't let you fall through the cracks?" "Who would do that?" "Me, and about 40 of my brothers. We're a motorcycle club, Brotherhood of Steel. A lot of us are veterans. We've seen what the system does to people, and we've learned how to work it." Axel leaned forward. "I'm not promising miracles, but I'm promising we won't give up on you. Not until you're off the street and back on your feet." Walter stared at him. "Why? You don't know me." "I know enough. I know you survived Vietnam. I know you've been living on the street for 30 years. I know you spend your Thursdays teaching chess to a kid who needed someone to believe in him." Axel met his eyes. That's the kind of man worth fighting for. For a long moment, Walter didn't speak. Then his weathered face crumpled, tears tracking through the grime on his cheeks. "I stopped hoping a long time ago. It hurt too much." "Then let me hope for you. Let my brothers hope for you. Just say yes, and we'll take it from there." Walter wiped his face with the back of his hand. "Yes." Nolan arrived 10 minutes later, running across the park with his backpack bouncing. He stopped short when he saw Axel. "You came back." "I came back, and I brought some news. You know how you've been worried about Walter when the weather gets cold?" Nolan nodded, his expression serious. "He pretends it's fine, but I know he gets sick sometimes. I gave him my scarf last month, but Mom made me leave it because she said I needed it." "Well, you don't have to worry anymore. My club is going to help Walter find a place to live. A real place, with walls and heat and a bed. The boy's eyes went wide. Really? You can do that? We can try, and we're pretty good at trying. Nolan looked at Walter. Is it true? You're going to have a home? Walter nodded, still too overwhelmed to speak. The boy launched himself at the old man, wrapping his arms around him in a fierce hug. Walter hesitated for just a moment, the hesitation of someone who'd forgotten what it felt like to be touched with affection, and then hugged him back. You're still going to teach me chess, right? Nolan asked, his voice muffled against Walter's jacket. Kid, I'll teach you chess until you're beating grandmasters. That was always the plan. Thank you for watching this story about a boy who saw a friend where others saw a homeless man, and the bikers who decided that friendship was worth fighting for. If it reminded you that every person has value, that veterans deserve better than the streets, and that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply notice someone who's been invisible, please subscribe to Bike Diaries and share this with someone who needs to know that hope is always worth holding on to. Tell us in the comments, who have you noticed lately that the world overlooks? The process took 3 months. 3 months of paperwork, phone calls, appointments, and bureaucratic hurdles that would have defeated Walter if he'd been fighting alone. But he wasn't alone. Every step of the way, a brother from the Brotherhood of Steel was beside him, driving him to the VA office, sitting with him in waiting rooms, advocating for him when clerks tried to shuffle him to the bottom of the pile. Axel personally accompanied Walter to 6 different appointments, including a comprehensive health evaluation that revealed treatable conditions that had gone untreated for years. High blood pressure, diabetes, a heart murmur that needed monitoring. Nothing that couldn't be managed with proper care that Walter was finally going to receive. In February, 3 months after that first conversation in Lincoln Park, Walter moved into a studio apartment in a veteran housing complex on the north side of Fresno. It wasn't much, 400 square feet, a small kitchen, a bathroom with a working shower, but it was his. His name on the lease, his key in his pocket, his bed to sleep in every night without wondering if he'd be rousted by police or attacked by strangers. The Brotherhood of Steel furnished the apartment with donations from members and their families, a bed, a couch, a small TV, dishes, towels, everything a person needed to start over. They filled the refrigerator with groceries and taped a card to the mirror that read, "Welcome home, brother. You earned this." Walter stood in the middle of his apartment, turning in a slow circle, tears streaming down his face. "I don't know how to thank you," he said to Axel, who'd driven him from the shelter where he'd been staying during the housing process. "I don't have anything to give. You've got plenty to give. You've been giving it every Thursday for months." Axel put a hand on his shoulder. "That boy, Nolan, you changed his life. He lost his dad, and you gave him something he needed. A mentor, a friend, someone who believed in him. That's worth more than money. He changed my life too. He saw me when nobody else did. That's how it works. We save each other. That's the whole point." The first Thursday after Walter moved into his apartment, Nolan came to visit. His mother drove him. She'd become a friend of the club over the past 3 months, grateful beyond words for what they'd done for the man who'd been so kind to her son. Nolan walked into the apartment with a wrapped gift under his arm. "I got you a housewarming present." Walter opened it to find a brand new chess set, wooden pieces, a folding board, felt-lined storage. Not expensive, but clearly chosen with care. "I saved my allowance," Nolan said proudly. "Mom helped a little. I wanted you to have a real set. The old one was falling apart." Walter held the box like it was made of gold. "This is the best gift anyone's ever given me. Now you can teach me at your house instead of the park." Mom said I can come every Thursday if my homework's done. Every Thursday, Walter agreed. Rain or shine. The Brotherhood of Steel made Walter an honorary member, not a full patch, but a special designation that meant he was family. He started attending club events, sharing meals with brothers who'd served in different wars, but understood the same demons. He volunteered at the VA hospital, visiting veterans who were where he'd been, telling them that recovery was possible because he was living proof. And every Thursday, without fail, a 10-year-old boy knocked on his door for their weekly chess lesson. Nolan is 13 now. He plays on his school's chess team, the only 7th grader on varsity. His coach says he has the strategic mind of a player twice his age. When people ask who taught him, Nolan tells them about Walter, about the homeless veteran in Lincoln Park who saw a lonely boy and gave him something to hold on to. Walter is 74. His diabetes is under control. His blood pressure is stable, and his heart, both the physical organ and the metaphorical one, is healthier than it's been in decades. He has a purpose now, mentoring young players at the community center, volunteering at the VA, being a living example that it's never too late to come back from the margins. Last month, Nolan won the regional chess championship for his age group. When he accepted the trophy, he invited Walter onto the stage with him. "This man taught me everything I know," Nolan told the crowd. "Not just about chess, about life, about how to see people, about how to be a friend. I'd be nothing without him." Walter stood beside him, wearing a clean shirt and his Brotherhood of Steel honorary member vest, crying in front of 300 people without a shred of shame. Because that's what family does. They show up. They see each other. They don't let go. And sometimes they meet over a chessboard in a park that nobody else bothers to look at, and they change each other's lives forever.